been told to get professional help, but you just don't know how to start and you don't know where to go, what to do. Hi everyone, Assalamualaikum. Today I'll be talking about some tips for you to have the courage or have the insight to seek professional help from mental health practitioner. I know for some this can be a huge and scary step to take on. So I'll be sharing some tips to you. Hopefully it will give you a bit of insight and a little bit of courage for you to take that very first step. Let's start with tip number 1. So when it comes to getting professional help, something that is very helpful that we can take on is firstly to ask yourself what's stopping you from getting help. So these are some questions that I have come up with, and I feel it is also helpful to really ask ourselves the questions, and this will help you to get an insight on why you're not getting professional help. Is it because you don't know who or where to go to? Or is it because you're worried of the stigma revolving around mental health? Do you experience any difficulties in terms of financial? Is it because you cannot afford it? So I believe by asking these questions, it helps us to see if there are ways that we can work on to reduce these thoughts, these questions that is actually causing the worry. So now let's move on to tip number 2. I think this is also very important when it comes to getting professional help. It is to be aware, to equip yourself, to learn a bit, have a little bit of knowledge in regards to mental health. I know there's a lot of information being shared. Like I know in TikTok there are also some public figures who share about mental health, and I think in Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, we have a lot of public figures who actually talk about mental health. So to get that courage, I feel like you also need to know a little bit of that information on mental health. Once you know about this, I believe it will give you that insight to get that professional help. So that's tip number 2. When it comes to tip number 3, this is something that you also need to explore on. So you can start by talking to someone that you trust. Actually, when confiding to someone, it also helps you to resolve or actually give you an insight on the problems or the issues that you are facing at that moment. Look for someone within your social circle. Is there anyone that you can trust, that you can confide to and share your problems with? Sometimes, for some of us, what you need is a listening ear instead of having that solution. Because I believe for each and every one of us, there is that capability inside all of us that we know what to do. It's just that we need someone to direct us in doing it. So try to confide and talk to someone that you trust first, because this can be helpful. Because once you go and seek for professional help, it will be different experience, of course, because it is someone new that you met. But by having that somewhat experience in talking to someone, it will help you to calm yourself, and it is actually like a practice. At least you know what to talk about. At least you learn how to really put your words and share to that mental health practitioner, and hopefully with that session that you will be facing, that you will be having, it will help you and also the mental health practitioner to work on the issues that you are having. Alright, so that is tip number 3. Moving on to the next tip. I think this one is quite relevant with the current situation, or I know right now it's already recovery stage of movement control order, but still we still need to practice social distancing, physical distancing. I noticed that there are a lot of mental health services being offered online. These online services that are being offered is a good start for some, because when it comes to online services, still you will see the mental health practitioner. The session will still be ongoing just like a normal session. So when it comes to doing an online session, it is very important as well to ensure that you're feeling comfortable in doing that session, and your environment is safe, and obviously you need to have a stable connection. Alright, so that is tip number 4. Now we're moving on to the next tip. So just now I mentioned about online session, but now if that session itself need to be done physically, it can be a very anxiety provoking situation. So to help you with this is you can bring along a friend. Depends on the center, because with the current MCO there are some places that limit the people who can go inside their center. So you need to check on that. But I think it is still possible. Bring someone that you trust to go with you to that session, to that counseling or psychotherapy session. Bring that person, even just ask that person to drive you there. So at least you have someone that can give you that push, like a support, a moral support for you to feel less anxious when you are going to that session. And the last tip that I will share with you today is, I think this one, even I personally, I do this and I really feel that it's very, very helpful. So the last tip is to keep a journal or a diary. And when I say keep, not just have it and keep it, what I meant by keep is write a journal, write a diary, pour out your thoughts, your emotion on that piece of paper. Write down how you feel on a daily basis. What have you been thinking on a daily basis? It helps you to really look back at what has been happening. And because of course when we are facing that situation at that moment, our mind could probably is not at the stable state, hence we tend to act in a certain way. So once we wrote down our thoughts and emotions, and when we look back, actually we are looking from a different perspective already. We try to see that situation, we try to process that thoughts and emotion in a different way. So this can also help us to have that courage, because it's just like talking to someone. The difference is that you are writing it down. So once you have that practice of pouring out your thoughts and emotion, it can also help you to talk to this mental health professional verbally instead of just writing it down. So these are the 6 tips that I have, and I hope it will help you to have the courage and insight to be seeking professional help. If you want to share any tips, or if you feel like these tips are helpful, do comment in the comment section below. I would love to hear your story. I would love to hear your opinion. Till then, inshallah we'll see each other again in the next video. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you again. Bye bye.